everybody. Welcome to the Sally Allen podcast. This podcast is a place for people to come and share their stories of resilience. And I truly, in my heart, believe that sharing stories helps with healing, empowering, and it also encourages other people. And today in our podcast, I have my dear friend, David Dendy. He's a pastor. He's a stand-up comedian.
Right.
Yeah, and he's a wonderful dad and husband. And I'm so excited to have him here today. So David, you have it all. You have the American dream. You're a pastor. You lead your church. You lead a flock. Your family. You know, you have a wonderful family. You have it all. Tell us how you got there.
Well, you know, when I was in high school, my nickname was the Golden Boy. And I am the Golden Boy and forever and always. But yeah, it's really interesting how, you know, I don't know if in your high school you had the senior superlatives, you know, best personality and best this. And so I was voted most likely to succeed. And I was the Golden Boy. And I believed it. I lived it until I wasn't. And then, you know, not too far removed from high school. And, you know, I got into a great college, went to a great graduate school, got married, had kids. And then it all came crumbling down, crashing down, really. And just within a span of a few short months, you know, you lose your family, lose your career, lose your marriage, lose everything, lose your friends.
Wow.
And then you're just trying to figure out, gosh, who am I? And you think as you're in that fetal position, crawled up on your apartment floor, gosh, you know, if my high school classmates could see me now, most likely to succeed. You know, I got nothing. Got nothing to show for it. So it was a tough time. And, you know, it's like, okay, you know, recalibrate, figure things out, meet new challenges, new people. But it's always interesting to me how, especially with the idea of resilience, and you have your own resilience, resilient story. And you know, how do you come across as, oh, I'm the Golden Boy, when you have nothing to show for it?
Right.
There's nothing. You don't have any self-confidence. Your self-esteem is lower than the gutter. And, I mean, you have no income. You have no job. You have no friends. I mean, it's a bizarre place to be. And I'm sure a lot of your guests and a lot of your listeners have been in places just like that.
You know,
and so I want to say thank you for doing this podcast to give people an opportunity to share and give people hope in the midst of maybe not so favorable circumstances.
Thanks, David. I appreciate that. I think this podcast is not mine. Today, this hour is yours.
Okay.
And that's how I look at it. You know, this is a platform for people to just come and encourage other people. And that's what I hope, like your story that you'll share with us today. How did you go from being the golden child and you know, everybody's looking up at you to this other person here? How did you get there?
It's a slow road.
It's a slow road.
That's for sure. Doesn't happen coming back doesn't happen overnight. And so when everything fell apart, someone offered me this great Bible verse, Jeremiah 29:11. You know, I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord.
That's right.
Plans not to harm you, but to prosper you, to give you a hope and a future.
Amen.
And I must have said that verse 30 times a day.
Yeah.
And after a year or two, I just kept thinking, I'm not quite seeing the plans yet. You know, not sure where this future's going.
Yeah.
And it was a rough time. But, you know, the good news is that the Lord does have a plan.
Right.
And he's able to do things that I can't do and work kind of behind the scenes and make things happen that you never thought was ever going to happen. So I got a job, which was a real blessing. And that was to help churches raise money. If your church wants to raise money, you know, $1 million for a new worship center or educational way, I come in, I can help you do that.
That's awesome.
And I've helped 100 churches raise $200 million. So it's been great. But I think there's a few things that really, really helped out a lot. And number one, the Lord. I mean, just, he's in charge. I'm not. Waiting on the Lord. Isaiah talks about wait on the Lord. You'll mount up with wings like eagles. When you wait on the Lord, allow his spirit to kind of be that wind beneath your wings, And then the other, I think, aspect of it has its roots in a great story in the Bible. Moses was leading the people out of Egypt, and he's going to take them to the promised land. So they get to the promised land pretty quick.
Yeah.
I mean, within 2 years of, trying to mobilize, 1 million people, they get to the promised land, and Moses said, well, let's get 12 spies, one from each tribe, and let's send them into the promised land for how many days? 40, because that's a great biblical number. Everything's 40 days. And then they'll have them come back and give us a report. So the 12 spies, they go in, spend 40 days. It's unbelievable. I mean, grapes, bigger than your head kind of thing. I mean, just amazing things. And they come back after 40 days and they make their report. And 10 of the spies say to Moses, we cannot take the land. I mean, it's filled with milk and honey and grapes and vineyards. I mean, it's unbelievable. But the people out there, they look like giants. They're huge. Maybe like how you see people sometimes.
Everybody is a giant to me, being 4 feet tall. Everybody is a giant to me.
He's a giant. Yeah. So they come back, they say, hey, we cannot take the land. And then in the next sentence, you have Joshua and Caleb, and they say, we can take the land. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, we can take the land. And so what happens? Well, majority rules. Mm-hmm. And Moses says, okay, we can't take the land. And then God says, it was yours for the taking.
Right.
It was prepared just for you. And because you don't think you can take it, I'm going to make you wander for 38 more years in the desert until everyone dies off who said we can't. Mm. But the 2 who said we can, they'll get to go into the promised land. And so, how does that fit into resilience? Who do you surround yourself with?
Right.
Do you surround yourself with people who say you can, or are you surrounded by people who say you can't? And I have found, and I'm sure you have, and I'm sure a lot of people have, you have people in your life, oh, don't do that. Mm. That's too risky. You're going to fail. No one's done that before. You've never done that before. Why would you want to do that? And so you have the people who say you can't. But if you can find people and surround yourself with people who will say, you can. I got your back. I'm here to support you. I'm here to love on you, be with you. If you trip and stumble, I'll be there to help pick you up. You surround yourself with those people, you know what? You can. Right. Whatever you set out to do, whatever God's put in front of you, you can do it. Like, was there a time when you thought, I don't think I can do a podcast?
I never thought I could do a podcast.
Right.
And it's people, right? First of all, God called me to do this podcast. He calls me to give people a voice to share their stories, because my story, that after I published my book, I was in a really dark place for about 6 months.
I remember.
Yeah, and then God pulled me out of that and said, you need to do this podcast. And no, I didn't feel like I could. And it's people like you, David, who pulled me out of that and said, of course you can.
Did you have any people who said, don't do a podcast?
I've had people who looked at me like, okay, it's cute. You have people and you share your dreams with them and they look at you and say, that's cute. That's nice. Yeah. Interesting. That's the word they use.
Very interesting.
Very interesting.
Right.
And then you had all the people that look at you like, thank you. They keep telling people like, you have been sent to me by God, like as an angel, because you've made such a difference in my life in terms of your coaching and encouragement to say like, I know this is something God wants you to do. So you go with it.
Absolutely.
And you even referred me to this wonderful studio that we're in, Sticky Paw.
I know.
Right?
Special
Yeah.
thanks to John
Special
Orlando
thanks,
and
John.
Travis, who helps us out over here.
That's
They
right.
do a phenomenal job.
That's right. Absolutely. But I want to go back to your story that when you were on the floor, was it people that helped you to get up off of that floor? Whereas because when we get to that stage that you describe, there's some limiting beliefs that can keep us down there, right? And we need these tools and resilience to bring us back up. What brought you back up out of that state?
Yeah, I don't think we can underestimate the power of those limiting beliefs because because it's probably everything you believe at that time, which are limiting beliefs,
Right.
are the very thing that got you to that point.
Right.
You're down on the floor for a reason.
Yeah.
You made some bad choices, for whatever reason, there's some consequences involved. And so how would you ever think that I can rise above this?
Right.
Because, you've just made some really bad decisions that get you onto the floor. So why would you think, I think I can make good decisions from here on out that'll rise above that? But I think your friends and family, those people who say you can, come alongside and say, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
When you're like, I don't feel like getting off the floor. It's kind of it's kind of nice on the floor.
Right. Right.
It's cool, and
It's comfortable.
I can just bring my bowl over here and just drink out of the dog bowl. It gets comfortable. But it's friends. Obviously it's God bringing about people in your life who can pull you, nudge you, lift you, push you, encourage you, prop you up when you don't think you can prop yourself up. That come along and say, "Hey, let's get this done," And it's I was blessed to be able to find a job pretty quick.
Yeah.
Because it's funny as a pastor, when you stop being a pastor, what can pastors do? We really believe that there's this major bifurcation between the work world and the church world.
Right.
And the two don't intersect. At least that's what you've been told.
Right.
So what transferable skills would I have from the church world to go into the secular work world? Mm-hmm. And I thought, who cares if I can preach? What difference does that make, in the work world? And then I had a great friend come alongside, a guidance counselor, and she said, well, let's see, what do you do when you preach? You prepare, you study, and then you present. I'm like, yeah. She said, so let's put this on your resume. You have a great ability to take vast amounts of information and bring it down into a dynamic 20-minute oral presentation.
Okay.
Oh, I think that's transferable. I'm like, who cares? She says, what happens if there's a crisis in the church? Someone's in the hospital, someone dies. Oh, we get our deacons, and compassionate care groups to go and make meals. And, oh, so you're able to mobilize groups of people into decisive action to help people in times of crisis. Oh, yeah, I guess so. I never thought of it like that. You don't think of it like that.
Right.
And so just having people come into my life who are able to say, hey, the skills over here work over here as well. Mm-hmm. The things you used to do or the things you're passionate about, they can transfer over here. And that was a huge, huge help.
Yeah, I think that one other thing that you didn't mention is you're a good influencer. People come back every Sunday.
They do. Sometimes I'm quite surprised.
And in the workplace, leadership is influence. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. If you can't influence people, you can't lead.
Right. I know when I did a lot of consulting, I still do a little bit of that as well, but people would ask me, what is leadership? And my answer was always the same. I would say, I don't know what leadership is, but I know when it's missing. Mm-hmm. And it's so obvious. Just like you said, if there's no one here influencing people,
that's right.
Then we got issues. We got a problem.
That's right.
If there's no one directing us, moving us into this direction, then we got a problem.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
Leadership is key.
It's key. Yeah.
But it's amazing, even you get, let's fast forward a few years, you get back up on your feet.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, okay, here we go. And then you're, maybe find yourself in a situation where someone says, oh, you're David Dendy. I remember you back then when, you felt your life fell apart. And they want to bring you back there. Let's bring you back to where you were on the floor. And some people, they have a hard time seeing you in the new you, and it's much easier to pigeonhole people, put people in your pocket in a way that you like it, you're comfortable with it, even though they're not even close to being that anymore.
Right. And you even had a life before you were on the floor, which nobody sees. You had some successes there.
Right. Oh, yeah. There were a lot of successes.
Yeah, but people get stuck on that. Like you said, use the word pigeonhole, which you like. They just get stuck on that. Why is that, David?
I think it's a control issue. We like to control others. We like to control the narrative. We like to control how I feel, how I view, how I think about things. And the best way for me to do that is just, Sally, you're one of those. Okay, now I can put you over here in this little compartment.
Right.
But then, just like, we talk about comedy, and doing some stand-up comedy. No. Pastors don't do that. That goes against the grain. That those two don't measure up. So I'm not gonna see you as that. Right. I just see you over here as pastor.
Right.
And so it's one of the funniest things. You go up on the stage at comedy club and you say hey, I'm David Dendy. I'm from Las Vegas, and people, yay, clap, and you say, and I'm a pastor, and it's just dead silent. They don't know what to do with that. Why is a pastor up here on the comedy club?
Right.
I mean, what? That just doesn't compute. It doesn't equate. Doesn't relate, and it's so outside the box. People just, I'm like, continue to hold your applause. Because no one claps when you're a pastor. No one claps. Not even my own people. And I'm in Vegas. People in Vegas, they clap for everything. Yeah. Dog shows, fountains.
Fountains.
Yeah. Fountains. Even the Raiders. I mean,
Come on, Dave. We love the Raiders.
I know. But, I tell people, hey, at your next family gathering, get everyone's attention and say, hey, I've decided to become a pastor. And then watch the response. Right. No one's going to clap. No one's going to clap. So,
but that's come back to what you were saying. We the word compartment I like, but I also like the word box. We put people in a box, and we put labels on people, and those are our expectation of those people.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's so talk about limiting beliefs. It's just, and I think we are. I mean, maybe I'm being too optimistic here, but I think we are living in an age where, you can do and be, and I mean, the limiting beliefs are maybe just within your own mind. There's tons of opportunity out there,
right? To
do a lot of different things.
But the thing is, getting rid of those limiting beliefs, stepping out of your comfort zone. Those are two big battles, and it's 50% of the battle. But the other 50% is getting over the people fear and what people think about you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Just like, in the comedy set that I did, there was a little material that's a little, you would never say that in church,
right.
Talk about that in church. But it's an issue. It's something that takes place in everyday life that people deal with. But the church probably don't want to talk about that.
Right.
So then you talk about it, and people, oh, pastor, you shouldn't have been talking about that.
Yeah.
And so after I did one routine in Caroline's Comedy Club in New York City. Some people, I put the show up out there on YouTube, and here's the link. If you want to watch it, watch it. And, had a few people, send their concerns, to the upper governing bodies of the church,
Really?
And I got a nice little phone call. It wasn't a phone, it was an email. It started off, concerning your comedy in New York City. I thought, wow. I was just talking about something that is very basic to everyday life.
Do you want to share it with us?
No.
Okay. Let's not prolong that agony of another email.
That's right. I don't want you getting emails. Oh, man.
Gosh.
But, it was true. Everything I talked about, it was true. But anyway.
I like that about you, though. Like the person you are, and I don't know how you are at home, but I assume like the person you are at home, the person you are at church, the person you are as you're sitting here on the podcast, you're one person.
Try to be. I mean, you want to be authentic. You want to be transparent.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's just, I think that's where wholeness takes place.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I'm constantly, I'm at church, I better act this way. I'm at home, I better act another way.
Right.
I'm here on the podcast, I better button up and,
Button up and it, yeah.
Right. I just want to be whole throughout every representation of who I am and whose I am, wherever I go. And, I get to go to a comedy club tonight. I'm not going to be up on stage, but I got invited by somebody, and the two of us will be there together. And a pastor with this guy, people go, "What?" But that's where I want to be.
Right.
With people
That's
from
right.
all walks of life.
That's right.
Not just church people. Scripture's pretty clear. Go.
Mm-hmm.
Go.
Mm-hmm.
Get out into the world.
That's right.
And meet people where they are. And that's what I love doing. I love meeting people where they are. Hey, tell me your story.
Yeah.
Tell me who you are. What are you about? How'd you get to be doing this or doing that? And wow.
Yeah.
That
so resonated with me because when I quit my corporate job, I've gotten so much opportunity to go work in the church, potential opportunity, and different organizations, nonprofit, but Christian organization. And I just felt like God was saying, I don't want you to get stuck in a bubble. I want you to be out there where my people are and those who don't know me.
Right.
So that's where I'm calling you to be. So I absolutely understand your point on that one.
And I know some of those organizations you work with, and they're thrilled to have you.
Yeah.
They love having Sally Ann and walk through the door. They do. They love it. But if you hadn't stepped out of that bubble, they would never have had the opportunity to know you, and you would have never had the opportunity to serve them.
That's right. That's right.
So
yeah, it's good you listen to that calling, and I love that. Wholeness, just be you.
Right. And it's not easy. Because people, hey, you're at church, you need to be like this. Oh, hey, you're out here, you need to be like that. Says who? Says them.
Right. Right.
I want to be authentic through and through.
Right. Right.
Whether it meets your criteria or not.
Yeah. And I do, sometimes I use bad words like crap and damn.
Oh my God. That is... Where's the audience? Where's the camera? Oh my gosh. Get these headphones off of me. She said crap. Oh my gosh.
But that's
end of podcast. I'm out of here.
But that's
wow. Hold on to the table.
I see Travis laughing over there like, really, Sally? You should hear our words on our podcast. But
that's probably the worst thing I've heard all day.
But it's who I am. I'm at church, and in church you can't say bad words. But I say, listen, I use bad words. This is who I am. This is how I speak. Right? This is just who I am, and I don't want to be that different person that I'm trying to speak and be prim and proper in front of you. Yeah, if I stump my toe, I'll probably say the F word. I'm not saying, oh darn, I stumped my toe.
Yeah, I use that F word all the time. Forget about it. Forget about it.
Forget about it. It's like, man, I love it, David. Like you've transitioned into being your true authentic self. And I really like that. It's really resonating with me today.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Always good to be with you as well.
Yeah.
I worked at a place where I could not be the authentic me. And it was miserable because I love to laugh. I mean, my gosh, laughter, the science behind laughter and what it does for the body, what it does for interpersonal relationships, what it does in community it has been underestimated for years. I mean, it's phenomenal. If you're really trying to solve a really difficult problem, maybe at the workplace, something like that, if you get all you're constricting blood flow, thinking, can't think outside the box. If you start laughing, it opens things up. You get endorphins, you get oxytocin, you get all these hormones flooding the brain. You feel good, you're motivated, you can think outside the box, and you can come with better solutions than ever before if you use laughter. And there's all the science is behind that. But, I mean, I worked at one place, don't laugh. People won't take you seriously. I was like, really? Yeah. And there was no laughter. I mean, there was no laughing aloud kind of thing. And it was not a good fit, not a good experience.
I worked at a place too here in Vegas where we're not allowed to laugh. In fact, I laugh at everything. And when I pick up the phone, I always smile. It's just a thing. It's part of my DNA.
Right.
And my boss was on the phone and he said, "Why are you smiling?" Like, I don't know. I didn't realize I did it. I'm like, "I didn't smile." He said, "Yes, you did. That's unprofessional."
There you go. I bet that business is going like gangbusters in it. They're just doing great.
Nah, he's gone. He's gone since. But it just tells you people's different perspective of like happiness and joy.
Yeah, it's interesting. Other studies will show as people move up the corporate ladder, the less they laugh. With greater responsibility comes less humor, less laughter, less levity. And you've got more responsibility. You better be laughing more when you got, because you're going to be better manager, better CEO, better everything.
Yeah.
If you can laugh at yourself, laugh at, just, whew. But if everything becomes so serious, so stressful, then how are you going to think and act and make decisions in the best way?
Yeah. Well, everything starts from the top. So if you're tense up there, it flows right through the business.
Exactly.
Yeah. Everything starts from the top. So very good. So David, what's a takeaway today for our audience?
Takeaway for the audience? Well, number one, I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plan to prosper you, not to harm you, to give you a hope in the future. I'd stick with that. And the other thing I'd stick with is, was it Jim Rohn who said you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with? Who are you hanging?
I'm not sure if it was him, but that was good.
Yeah. Who are you hanging out with?
That's right.
Who are the 5 people? And are you the average of those 5? And is that a good average or is that below average? I mean, what is that? And are these the people who are going to take you to the promised land? Or are they going to keep you wandering in the desert for the rest of your life?
I have to review and reflect on my 5 that I'm hanging with now.
Yeah, you better.
Yeah. Well, friends, remember, it's never too late to start living resiliently. One of the things I learned today is don't let people put you in a box. The moment that you remove that lid and you get out of that box and you stop people fearing, you start living resiliently. David, I want to thank you for being on the show today. This was great.
Thank you. And my mantra in life, laugh often and fear not.
Yes.
Absolutely.
A huge thank you to our audience, our listeners. Huge thank you to Sikipa Studio. If you like our show, rate, review, and share with your friends.